What's up, guys? Welcome to the Primetime Pods podcast. I'm Davis,
I'm Jeff.
I'm Bryson.
and this is our first episode. So we're going to start off with a little icebreaker question. Jeff, if you could go on vacation with one Padre player, who are you going with, and why?
I think I would take. I think I'd take you, Darvish. I think he's got the money to
Oh,
treat me on a nice vacation. You know?
all about the money.
We're paying him pretty handsomely.
Yeah, we are.
I think I'd trust him to take me to like Cabo or something. Get a nice resort. What about you,
He'd wine
Bryson?
and dine you.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd want to take Campy, Luis Campisano. I feel like he's like a fun guy. He'd be fun to like hang out with on like a vacation, like a no stress type of thing. Just chill with him. It'd be cool.
All right, I think to no one's surprise, I'm picking Ha-Seong Kim. That's my guy.
Saw that coming.
You need to bring the translator.
Yeah, no, I can probably I would learn some Korean. Also, I think I could teach him some English. So
Yeah, I bet.
yeah. All right, so Josh Hader, let's talk about it. Jeff, you wanna?
Yeah. So as I'm sure you guys have all heard, Josh Hader signed a 5-year, $95 million contract with the Astros, which is the largest contract in MLB history for a reliever. And so in his contract, there was a incentive. He gets an extra $1 million if he wins reliever of the year. And it was a pretty big storyline within the Padres 2023 season that like he wouldn't go 4 outs. And I think that's a big reason why like, people kind of hesitated to sign him in free agency. So I think that's definitely in play for like if he wants like it for why the Astros paid him. And I don't think they would have paid him that much with like the stubbornness we got last year of not going 4 outs or not pitching in 3 consecutive days. So that's about all I have to say. Like I definitely just think that he has to prove that he's willing to work around his restrictions that he had last year.
Yeah. My thing, I'm gonna ask. Do you think that's a good or a bad deal? Do you think that's like? Do you think he deserves that 95 mil 5-year contract? Do you think that's too high, too low? What do you think?
I think it's a fair price. I mean, I think Hader is like easily a top 3 closer in the league, and I think he has the numbers to prove that. I mean, last year he had a 1.3 ERA with 76 strikeouts and 58 innings pitched. Like a 1.3 ERA is just insane, and you deserve to get paid for that. And he's been in the league for a while, and this is the first big contract he's gotten. So I think he definitely deserves it. But there's obviously the questions about, is he a team player? Is he willing to make sacrifices? So I would say it's worth it. What do you think, Bryson?
Yeah, I think the only worry there is the 5 years. He's 29, I think. So I mean, that's like right around where he's definitely at the peak of his career, and I think he should be getting paid a lot. But the worry is like the latter half of that. You kind of just have this guy who, especially with the new rule changes and like just everything being a little faster, I think it's possible for pitchers to be more like prone to injury. And I guess that's why he's like a reliever. You're not going to have him starting and throwing 90 pitches, but there's definitely still some worry there with like how he'll age through the contract. But overall, I think he deserves the money for sure.
Yeah, my thing. So I like just looking up the stats. Like, Jeff, like you said, 1.28, 1.3 ERA. I found like I think this was on the MLB like stat line website or whatever. It was like 61 appearances, 56.1 innings pitched. For all that, 1,042 pitches and 85 strikeouts. Pretty good. But my issue with Hader the whole time that like, especially this last season, watching the games, like, was just he's almost like like he's kind of a diva, like not wanting to pitch here and there, and only having like one, only being willing to go one inning at a time. And like there were at least, I would say at least 3 to 5 games this season that his unwillingness to continue pitching after one inning basically cost us the game. I mean, things, who knows, but I mean, I think that if he had, there were games where if he had stayed in, it could have changed the outcome of that game. Um, and so like if you look at these stats, I did like a little bit of number crunching, and that it goes out to 17 pitches a game that he pitched, and then 18 and a half pitches per inning. But he pitched overall less than, if he pitched 56 innings and he played in 61 games, he pitched, I mean, technically less than one inning for each appearance that he had. And then he had, so he played in only 38% of the games that the Padres played this season. So like, I don't know.
So
Yeah, I can talk about it. So I think while it being said that he deserves the money, I would have been really disappointed if the Padres paid him that much. Like I do think that
Right.
he was worthy of that contract, but like with the current state of the Padres and how like pretty weak their roster is, I mean, as it was proved like last year, that like spending that much money on a reliever like just would make no sense for our roster construction, and obviously it would be a great move for the Astros, a team that believes that they can contend, and adding someone like Hader definitely adds value to that. Um, yeah, did you want to talk, Bryson?
yeah, I was just to say, like, what do you guys think about the fact that he's like kind of expecting to leave after this past year, and like, do you think that had any effect on how much he wanted to pitch, and like, especially in the latter half of the year when we started not being like playoffs started kind of slipping away? Do you think that, I feel like that had more of an impact on him not wanting to pitch those last few games, because that especially became an issue near the end of the season, and at that point I think it's like too little too late even if he wanted to pitch those games.
Yeah, wasn't
I
there
think that's
like
where he's
a?
coming from.
I saw something and there was like a quote that, I don't know, a reporter or someone said that he had said like, it's not like it's not like we're a playoff contender anyway. Like I don't need to pitch, like, because someone is, people's main argument was like, why aren't you pitching more than one inning? Like we have a chance to like do something here, especially in the last, like, the final stretch of the season where there was like a bunch of stuff had to go right and a bunch of stuff like had to go wrong for other teams, and then but there was like a tiny chance, that we could have had playoff contention. But I don't know, just stuff like that. I don't. That just kind of put a bad taste in my mouth with Josh Hader. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think that I think Hader was like justified by having his limitations for that last half of the season. He's like, obviously he was gonna get a big payday, and I mean evidence proves that. But like with like how little at stake there was for the Padres, I think it's completely fair for him to be like, I'm not going overboard and I'm not doing things I've never done before with my body when I'm a free agent next year.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I mean, I already said it, but like with the stakes that we had, it was really just like getting the young guys in and trying to win as many games as you can without like the playoffs really being in reach. I think that was completely justified.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty general consensus for like Padres fans, though. Like no one really wants to pay him, but he's a great player, so it's not really worth us paying him. But like you said, he deserves the contract.
All right. Blake Snell. What are we thinking? Where do we think he's staying? Do we think he's leaving?
I mean, he's almost definitely leaving, in my opinion. I just think he kind of almost the same situation as Hader, other than the fact that he did try really hard and he won the Cy Young. I just think the Padres like don't have the money to pay him, and they don't really have a reason to, even if they did have the money. We're already kind of in like a lower payroll year. I don't think having Snell is really going to affect anything unless we're really looking for way in the future. And at that point, we're going to have a lot of prospects lined up and a lot of different things can happen. And I think that Snell is just due for some some regression, as unfortunate as that is. No pitcher can really have 2 Cy Young years in a row like that. I think he's a Mariner. That being said,
Yeah, I agree with you in the fact that like Blake Snell coming back isn't really even like in the realm of possibility. I think just like given obviously the circumstance that we have to reduce our payroll, and I think a big emphasis this offseason has been get younger and like not lock yourself into long term contracts. I mean, that was pretty much like the downfall of this year was, you know, the Xander Bogaerts contract. I mean, I obviously there's 9 more years left in like the Jake Cronenworth contract. I mean, those we don't know how they're going to shape out, but they like Bogarts had a decent year, but Jake Cronenworth had like a career low year and like the worst year of his career, and he's only gotten worse as time goes on. And I think that really needs to like we really need to focus on not locking ourselves in contracts. That being said, I did pull up the betting odds for Blake Snell's next team.
Dude, I was looking at
So the Yankees, from what I saw, it's the Yankees are the favorite, and then the Giants are 250. Any other team is 500, and then they have like other teams. But I think the Yankees are probably the best fit for him. They're a team that has the money.
did you see the report that he like
Yeah, that
spit on their contract?
Yeah.
He wanted was like 150 million for 5 years, and he wanted 6 years or something, or maybe it was 6, and then he wanted 7.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair for Blake. I mean, he deserves more than that, and we've seen guys like Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander get more than that. And we just saw Shohei Ohtani get 700 million. And I think Snell is definitely worth more than 550 million less than Ohtani. But I do think the Yankees are a good fit for him. I think they're a team that has like money to spend, and they're also a team that is ready to compete. And I think Blake Snell would want to join a team that has championship aspirations rather than a team like the Angels, which have been linked to him, or like the Giants. I think the Giants could be a good fit too, but I think the Yankees would be where he ends up.
Yeah, I looked at a couple different sources. One Bleacher Report has the Giants as the number 1 favorite for where they think Snell will end up. Their top 5 are Giants, Angels, Red Sox. Number 4 is Padres, and then 5 Yankees. And I think it might have been ESPN or like the some MLB article had Padres in the top 5 ranking too. So I think there is a chance that he stays.
Davis, I have a question.
People seem to think there's a chance.
Would you pay him that 5-year, $150 million contract that the Yankees?
No.
Okay.
But so I was gonna bring that up too. I think it was also a Bleacher Report. They had like a prediction for no, it was Snell. Snell was asking for 5-year 240. Was that did he when he spit on the contract? Was that the 150 number?
It was the 156 year. That was different. That's like what the Yankees supposedly offered him. I don't know what the 240 is from exactly, but
and I also think that there's something to the Yankees signing Marcus Stroman. I do think that like the whole timeline of events, it was like first like Blake Snell like gets the offer, like declines it or whatever the report was, and then a few hours later, Marcus Stroman, they just signed him for 2 years, and obviously like they put us in position, they're signing Stroman to be their number 2 guy behind Cole, and I do think maybe they pivoted, and I think we could see Snell like ended up with a team like the Giants or the Orioles or anywhere else where they would actually pay him what he would take.
Yeah.
I don't think Snell. I don't think he has a reason to stay with the Padres. And then on top of that, kind of what I was saying earlier with like Hader and longevity, like it's really hard to. And I guess what Jeff was saying, like it's hard to sign a pitcher for more years or like multiple years when when it seems a little more like risky nowadays.
Yeah, I feel like Jeff, to your point that you made earlier, like with the Cronenworth stuff, like locking in. I feel like we might be hesitant now to lock in people to like longer contracts, especially after like someone like Cronenworth. We have him locked in, and like, what has he
Yeah.
done really?
Yeah.
Especially in like last season. Like, I don't know what do you think is going to happen with that? Like, do you think we keep Cronenworth, or do you think we find a way to just pay him out and ship him off somewhere else?
I mean, I think for at least like 2 years, that's kind of random, but 2 years, like we'll have to keep him and see how it goes. But I feel like eventually he's a trade. I mean, not a trade piece, but like he's got to go somewhere
Somebody
else.
who they would entertain those conversations
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
I
What
do
what?
think that that giving the contract, I do think that he's gonna have to move to second base eventually, just kind of for that positional value. You know, you can't really just be paying a first baseman that kind of money and not get the bat that you pay for. But Cronenworth obviously is a great second baseman, a great shortstop. He's a good first baseman too. Don't get me wrong, but he just like I think the value of a good second baseman, a good shortstop, is more than having a good first baseman. And I do think obviously the domino of that would be moving on from a Kim or a Bogarts. I think Kim's going to be much easier to move given the fact that he's on a contract year, and given the fact that he just had the best season of his career. He'd have plenty of suitors. I think that's how I feel about Jake. I think there's going to be a lot of dominoes to that contract.
But do you think that means getting rid of Kim in the future, or do you think we'll try and keep him?
I think we would try and keep him if we wanted to, or if we could. But I don't think that's really in the possibility with like given the moves we have made, considering the fact that we traded Soto to free up a bunch of payroll and let Hader and Soto and Snell walk. I do think that we're kind of getting into a point where we want to get younger, and I think that trading Kim just makes a lot of sense for the big payday he's due. But yeah, I just want to hear what Bryson has to say about that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for the Kim situation because I think a lot of fans want to see him back. He just has like even if he's not the best player we could have at his position or not the best contract, I think a lot of fans want to see him, and especially in like the next few years, if we're not expecting, like if we don't have these playoff aspirations or like World Series aspirations, I wouldn't be opposed to trying to keep him and just like keep a steady fan base. But I think the right call is unfortunately kind of trading him.
But
If the
why?
world's
Like,
getting
why
him.
get rid of it? Like, what? I feel like he's such a valuable asset to the infield right now. Like, why? If it's a payroll issue, why not get rid of someone else who hasn't like? Why not buy out? Like, what year is of Cronenworth's contract is he on? Because it's a what 9-year contract?
He signed a 7-year last year, so he's got 6
7
more
year.
years.
Oh, they just
Yeah,
I
that's
thought he had been
why
on the team
that's why
longer than that.
Kim makes sense because this is his last year or until he's a free agent.
Yeah, and a guy like him, you wouldn't want him to walk for nothing.
Yeah.
And I think that would probably be the case if we weren't able to find a partner for him. I mean, considering that we got Jackson Merrill coming up, and you want him to play shortstop or second base or third, and just considering all the talent we have at that middle infield, and Tatis can play. I mean, he probably will never play shortstop or second base again, but if an injury were to happen, like he would be someone you can trust there. And I think Kim provides like so much value to the lineup that probably won't be able to get replaced for how much we're paying him now or the assets we could get. But I do think like the moves we've made over the last year just kind of indicate where we would go for someone who's a free agent next year and is on that older side. And when we have young talent like Jackson Merrill that could step in and replace him for much cheaper.
Yeah. Largely agree. We have plenty of infield guys that can come in soon, and it doesn't make a lot of sense for Kim to stay, unfortunately.
Well, I think the Padres are. I think the Padres would be wise to keep Ha-Seong Kim, bro.
Yeah, that being said, I would like to see him
I
stay. I like him as a player, but
Yeah,
if we sign him to a stupid contract, then I don't know how worth it'll be.
I think this year will have a big implication of what we would do. I don't think
Yeah.
we would
Yeah.
trade him in the offseason, like over this winter, but I do think that, if he's having a great year and the young guys look good, I think maybe you can find a way to just keep him and move him,
Yeah.
either have him keep playing second and just keep Cronenworth at first and just keep pushing the Cronenworth at first downfall. But you can find ways. I mean, I would not be surprised if we end up seeing Jackson Merrill ended up just being in the outfield, or Jake Cronenworth being an outfielder, or maybe even 5 years down the road, Xander Bogaerts being our first baseman. I definitely think there's a path to keeping Kim, but I wouldn't say it's likely. I definitely would like to see him stay, but
Yeah, I just got the bobblehead, so hopefully I can.
Yeah, don't waste that.
Yeah, hopefully I can get some enjoyment out of that for at least a little bit.
yeah. So I think what we can talk about next is, I talked a little bit about the positions. Obviously, left right, left field and center field are going to be the two. Like, we don't have a left fielder right now. I mean, right now our starting center fielder is Jose Azocar. I mean, I don't know if you trust him day one. I mean, he's shown that he can be a decent producer. He's a good defender. Obviously, there's questions about the bat. So I just wanted to go around and just see if you guys had any suggestions for, if you had any free agents you want us to sign, any trades you want us to make.
Yeah. I was really hoping on, if we wanted to spend again, like before, I don't know, like a month ago, I was kind of hoping for someone like Cody Bellinger. But now that he's been signed, I think there are kind of two routes we take, and it's like re-sign Profar or Garrett Cooper and kind of have them as like cheaper options that can play but aren't gonna like change the like vibe of the team at all. But the benefit of keeping them is obviously that they've played for us before and they are kind of comfortable here already. And then there's like some other stuff. I think Tommy Pham's a free agent and he's played for us, so it's kind of like that. And I think that makes a lot of sense in terms of like kind of just the path we're going right now with not trying to spend too much money and keeping it young, or just keeping it steady until our young guys can come up. And especially with like a lot of the outfielders getting off the market every day, it's kind of, I don't see us signing, like making any big moves in the future, at least.
Did you have anyone you wanted to see us make a move for, Davis?
You're muted.
I don't really know, honestly. Like, I'm not super well versed on like free agents or like kind of what's going on in that realm. But I have heard the name Cody Bellinger. I don't know. Who do we have at catcher right now?
We have Campy, Kyle Higashoka, and then
did we just get Higashoka? Is that who we just got?
He was the Yankee. Yeah. And then we also have Sully.
Who did we get?
Right?
Did we get an outfielder recently?
No.
We have two outfielders on the 40-man.
And one of them is Azokar.
Oh.
Also, of our 40-man, we have a 35-man.
Well, I was gonna say, like, isn't Gary Sanchez, like, isn't he a free agent?
He's a free agent. I think we'll end up bringing him back.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I think
like,
he makes just a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I agree. I like seeing Gary, but we now have 3 playable catchers. I mean, I won't say playable, but Higashoka from the trade, and then Brett Sullivan's technically still on the roster. I think Gary had a really great year, and I could see him asking for more than we want to pay him, especially like more years than we want to give him. We have Salas coming up so soon, and the duo of Salas and Campy is just going to be the best in the league for like 5 years at least. So
That's a hot take.
I would really like to see Gary come back, but I could also see like a contract, like him asking for too many years or too much money that we aren't comfortable with.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
me, I feel like Gary, like, I feel like, personally, I feel like have seen a lot more, like, Gary has impressed me a lot more than Campy. So I feel like I would rather have Gary than Campy, because I feel like not only did he bring, like, I don't know, I guess there's the argument that, like, Campy was way more consistent with the bat, but also, like, Gary's just a big hitter. I feel like he did a lot, like, I don't know, had a lot of good at bats. So I guess that's the argument, is like consistency or like big hitting. But I feel like a lot this last season, like uh, Gary made some good plays. I
Yeah,
don't know. I didn't see a whole lot out of
I
Campy.
agree. I think I'd like to see Sanchez back on a small deal. I mean, if some
Yeah.
team is going to give him a chance to start every day, then I think he should take that. They'll
Yes.
pay him more than us. But someone who I wanted to bring up in that left field spot that I think we could bring on for a 1 or 2 year deal is Eddie Rosario. He last played for the Braves. He's been a left fielder for them for the last few years. He's got experience as a DH. So just some numbers here. He played in 144 games. He hit 255 average, 25 home runs. That 255 average would be like the sixth on our team. He would be someone who would be on the better end of our team. And he's someone who's played in a lot of big games. He's 32 years old. He's been in the league for a very long time. He's played on a bunch of different teams. And considering how young our current roster is, I do think his veteran presence, especially when you're bringing in a new coach, I think having someone who can be a leader for those young outfielders that we're going to have, whether it's a Zokar or we bring up one of the guys from AA to play outfield for us some nights. I think he would really provide some value for us. So his last contract was a 2-year, $18 million contract in 2021. And he's not going to get paid that contract. I think we could easily sign him for a 2-year, $10 million contract with a club option after that first year. That being said, kind of a funny stat I found was that Eddie Rosario against like the NL West teams besides the Padres, he hit 329 with 26 RBIs and 9 home runs.
Jeez.
I thought that was pretty funny. We could just keep
use
that going. He'll be a great
yeah, we
player.
can use that. Yeah, I also saw the Eddie Rosario like as an option. I didn't look too much into it like you did for the stats, but from what you said, the deal that sounds like it makes a lot of sense.
On another note, I just want to throw out a big thank you to Nelson Cruz. He's I think he brought a lot to the team, and he retired this year. So he's getting up there in age. So
It's the GOAT, bro.
Thank you, Boomstick.
Rip the guy. Rip the boomstick.
I've seen that dude hit some nukes in a Padres before.
Yeah,
He was what, like 44 or something?
Yeah,
Going up against like
It's
20,
time for him to be a
20-year-old pitchers.
family man.
Yeah. Finally hung up the cleats.
Another name I wanted to bring up, we talked about him, is Jurickson Profar. I think he's probably, like, he's not even on the roster, but I would say he was the most likely person we would see at left field day one. I mean, if you watch the last, like, 20 games, you'd know that he had a really big impact on that winning streak that we had. He's a righty, which I didn't mention that Eddie Rosario is a lefty, and that's really big because I think our entire front six in our lineup is all righties. They all bat right, and Eddie Rosario would be a lefty, and I definitely think we need to add a couple lefties. Profar is a righty, so that would be kind of a weird fit. But
Profar can switch hit, can he?
I mean, sure, but
he bats lefty sometimes.
Yeah, but you're not really going to trust him to bat lefty for the whole entire season.
Yeah, I guess.
But I mean, obviously the numbers kind of speak for itself. He had a great end of last year, but I also wouldn't be surprised if we end up just letting him go elsewhere, just kind of because he's, not a building piece for the future, but he's someone who could instantly produce. In the 14 games that he played with us, he hit 295 in 44 at bats. He had 7 RBIs. He's someone who can play first base, play left field. He's someone who's played in a lot of big games for the Padres. I definitely think he's someone we would bring back. Day one.
No, yeah, I agree. I think Profar adds he adds a valuable. He brings something to the table on the team. And I think he'd be good in left field too. I agree with that. And like you said, like his batting's pretty good. So I think definitely like to your point, when he, came back on towards the end of our season, like there was definitely a change in kind of the team's performance, and I think that was not largely in part, but he definitely had a play in that.
He added a big spark for sure. Like you can tell, like
Yeah.
the guys love him. He loves being here.
Yeah. On the topic of only having righties in the batting at the beginning, I don't know if you guys have kept up, but we only have 4 left-handed pitchers, and none of them are starters. How we feeling about that?
Yeah,
and the 4, just I have them here. It's Matsui, who just signed, Cosgrove, who is more or less proven, Morejon, who has had some games but not too many, and then Jay Groom we're bringing up from the minors, I'm pretty sure. And those are only 4. So
right. I think definitely we're gonna need to add somebody who can start games for us. I mean, I think probably going into day one, Michael Waldron and Pedro Avila are going to be our back end starters. I don't think that's going to be something that we actually see. I do think we'll probably end up getting somebody, whether it's through trade or on a low end deal. I mean, there's been some smoke recently about Noah Syndergaard signing with the Padres, and I kind of see the upside there. It's he's a veteran pitcher. He's like we saw last year, like guys like Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo have an absolute career resurgence, like playing with Ruben Niebla, their pitching coach, and he's been proven that like he can turn some guys' careers around. But I think with that fit, like he's ready as well, and I don't think that we would be willing to give him a big contract. But if down the road we end up needing to sign someone for a couple million, maybe down the stretch of the year, I think that could be somebody we could look into. I mean, obviously the numbers will tell you that we should not sign Noah Syndergaard, considering his ERA starts with like a 6.
yeah,
But
I'm not too excited for that deal to happen if it does. But Davis, you have anything to say?
I'm not really knowledgeable on any of that, so I think Jeff covered it all.
Well, on the topic of pitching, I guess we can continue with the Soto trade, who we got. So Michael King is obviously like the big one. There's that report only a couple days ago that came out that was pretty much him saying Padres won the deal and he's here to have a career year, and kind of touching on what Jeff was saying about Ruben Niebla just turning guys' careers around. I think, at least I'm hoping for a lot of like resurgence from him. I mean, not really resurgence. He's already a proven pitcher, but just having a good year from him, and also some of the guys we brought up, or some of the guys that we brought with him. I think Niebla can hopefully work his magic and get all those guys to be solid pieces.
So you said we got King and Matsui, right? Was that the only 2?
No. Michael King he's the only starting pitcher we got, but then we have Johnny Brito, Randy Vasquez, and then Drew Thorpe.
Wait, where do we get Matsui?
We signed him.
Japan.
Oh, okay. Then never mind.
Yeah, I think that Michael King, we are going to need him like really. We need him to be like that number 3 guy for us for starting. I mean, it goes, Musgrove and Darvish, and then falls off an absolute cliff. We got like obviously Pedro Avila has been super productive for us,
Yeah.
and I would definitely feel pretty good about him being in our our fourth to fifth guy. But they're definitely looking for Michael King to be that third guy. Some of his numbers, like towards the end of last year, he started the last 9 games for the Yankees.
Yeah.
His last games for the Yankees were starts. So in those 9 starts, he had a 2.23 ERA, which would be leading the league. I mean, that Blake Snell had a 2.25 ERA, and he won the Cy Young with the lowest ERA in baseball. Obviously, that's a 9-game sample size, but he's really looked like there's something there as a starter. Obviously, if we can just have him be behind that Musgrove and Darvish, I think we'd be really happy with that.
Yeah. On top of the 9 starts, he had 104 innings pitched total, and his ERA was 2.75. So it's not like he only had 9 games. 104 innings pitched is not, not as much as other pitchers, but I would say that's enough to build a solid case for him to be a really solid starter in the third slot.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so. With Michael King, I do think that I thought his quote was really funny. I like it's not a particularly weird or like outstanding quote for him to say, but I just think like any chance like we can diss the Yankees and like just like diss Juan Soto, I think that's hilarious. I think the Padres need more jerks and need more chirps. And I
Are you
just
talking
think,
about how he said that we won the deal?
yeah, like I think that's like obviously not any like crazy quote. I just think it's funny just because like it could be taken the wrong way, and a lot of Yankees fans like had a reaction to it. I thought that was pretty funny because you'll never see anybody on Padres like besides Manny like really say anything, especially like from the pitching staff. I thought that was pretty funny, and I want to see him play the Yankees now.
Yeah, we need some big boys pitching for us. I want to see him want it. He wants that Cy Young. He's going for it.
Well, any other topics on the agenda?
This is a topic I wanted to bring up. There was a picture that came out today of Joe Musgrove. He took all the Padres pitchers and catchers out to the beach and bought him some pizza.
Saw that.
I thought that was a pretty nice gesture.
Was that in San Diego?
Yeah,
I hope so, bro. It's in San Francisco. Welcome to your new home, guys.
It's the off season, so I don't know what they're doing.
I thought that was
good. I was with the weather stuff too right now. Like San Diego's totally flooded. Have you guys seen those videos and pictures?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dude, I saw a video of a over by Seaport Village. Like, there's a Tesla, like almost entirely covered in water, like driving through the street. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So it's crazy out there.
No, I think it's cool seeing Ethan Salas with all those MLB guys. There's obviously a lot of pressure on him, and I think it's good to see him develop a relationship with Musgrove. Two pieces that we're gonna hopefully play for us for a long time. And I think just developing that relationship early, like we saw. There was also another video of Tom Cosgrove hanging with Ethan Salas. They threw a bullpen together. I think that's pretty cool. I really think that the team is looking forward to having Salas, and obviously the fan bases too.
Yep.
I agree. I've only heard good things about him. Like, he seemed like
he's a
like
dog,
a beast.
bro. He's a dog.
Yeah. He's a dog, bro.
You guys got anything else?
No. I think if we're gonna sign off, I think before we end it, I think we should go around and list our all-star infield, Padres all-star infield. Like, who do you pick? Your four infield spots. Who are you putting in those positions for anyone on the Padres?
Okay.
Up to your discretion.
Should we should all? I think all three of us should collaborate on this.
Okay.
Have a I think the third base is always Machado, right?
yeah.
Always. I think
Right?
shortstop
Okay.
has to be Xander too, right? I mean, he's been like
Give me
Doesn't have to
Tatis,
be.
bro. I want to see
Yeah,
Tatis.
I think
back at
Tatis
short.
needs to be back there.
I don't know, dude. Some of the plays that Bogarts made this year was crazy.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean,
but
he's
like,
great, but
Tatis
I think Tatis has more like explosiveness to him. About like
he has an entirely different like aura when he plays shortstop.
Yeah.
Like you can tell in his like demeanor. I think it'd be different as he's more comfortable playing right, and considering the fact that he won a platinum glove. He's obviously
so ridiculous.
but I want to see Tatis at short.
Yeah, I agree.
oh, I think you guys know who I'm putting at second. I mean, it has to be Kim, right? It has to be.
Yeah, I mean, Kim's one of the best defenders. He won a Gold Glove, so
Yeah,
I've no
and
qualms
then
there.
we slide Xander to first.
That's what. Yeah,
You
I think
round out the
Xander at
lineup
first
there.
is.
Yeah.
Is
I was thinking
bad.
like there's not a whole lot of options for our first. So like Choi's already a free agent, isn't he? Isn't he gone basically?
He's out.
Yeah, I mean,
he
first
played,
base
like-
in general, like you don't really
Yeah.
have to be a proven first baseman to.
Yeah, because we have Choi, we have Cronenworth, and we have Cooper.
Yeah,
Do we even have
Cooper's
Cooper anymore?
he's a free agent.
He's a free agent.
I could see us re-signing him though. I
Yeah.
think it makes a lot of sense for both sides, and he had a good year with us.
Same, kind of the same thing with like the Profar.
Yeah.
He was just
Right.
solid. He wouldn't be too expensive.
Now, what changes if we add the outfield in? Do you take Tatis back to right, or do you keep him in short?
Yeah, I think Tatis in the outfield is
Yeah,
fine.
he's not leaving right field.
Yeah.
I think maybe at some point you could keep him in center, but I think it would be malpractice to move him from right at this point.
Malpractice. All right, but for your person, like for our all-star, like if we add the outfield to it, so
Well,
we're talking the whole field now.
we don't even have 9 guys.
I know.
We'll put
Guess we got a Zokar in there.
We got a Zokar at left. He's fast, bro. You guys play the show? He's like 97 speed.
It's pretty fast.
Yeah.
I'll pull up Homer Bush Jr. to play center.
We have what's his name? Igor Rosario.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Oh,
Stick him somewhere random. I don't know, man.
Maybe he's the fast one. I don't know. There's
No,
someone
he's
I put
not
at left.
It's probably Zokar. He's fast. He was always
I think it's Zokar.
he was always our pinch runner.
Is it E-Guy or Eggy?
I've heard both, but E-Guy looks better to me, so I say E-Guy. I think it's
I'm
Eggy
going
though.
Yeggy.
I'm going Eggy.
It might be Eggy. I don't know.
All right. Who do we have at center? Did we already say that?
I mean, I would want a double A guy. I think somebody's going to be ready. Obviously, Bush Jr. not yet. He's only had about half a year in the system. But I think that we'll see Merrill probably in the outfield, and I think he's the most pro-ready guy we got. Just ready to play baseball. I think he's the best we could have out there in terms of like his bat. But I also like he's too valuable a prospect to stick in the outfield. Like he's too good at shortstop and too good in the middle infield to just slap him in right. So I think I guess that's what I would do, but I don't feel good about doing that.
Yeah, it's weird with our prospects because we have a lot of people that are going to come up and we like don't really have a spot for them, so we either have to move someone over or move them over, and neither of those things feels great. So
Yeah. All right. Who are we putting at catcher? Finish it off.
Campy.
Campy.
I'm going Gary.
Should just put 17-year-old Ethan Sauce at catcher. ready.
No, we gotta wait, man. At least one more.
Is he really 17? I didn't
Yeah.
realize he was just 17. That's crazy. I mean, I guess I had heard that, but I didn't. That's crazy.
He's been 17 for what feels like 5 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. I thought he was 17.
He's
a
still
while ago.
17.
Yeah.
No, yeah, he's 17.
All right. Well, if that's all we have, we good?
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.